Knicks Nation. Today is Monday, the 26th day of August 2024. I hope you had a safe and healthy and enjoyable weekend. I hope your family also had a safe and healthy and enjoyable weekend. And that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, along with the first responders who every day are saving lives. Those also that pick up garbage to keep our places clean, and those that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women that are out here trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover teenagers and children that are victims of child molestation and pedophilia. People that are also victims of pornography, victims of child pornography, victims of prostitution and child prostitution, human trafficking and sex slavery. Double curses on the perpetrators, profiteers, and perverts that create the demands around the world for these nasty industries. Finally, double blessings on the homeless, nearly 600,000, well, no, more than 600,000 men, women, children, families, veterans, senior citizens, homeless in the United States of America, and millions around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. So we're going through the Knicks rotation and the roster as we're waiting for the next season to start, which is actually, now this is August 26th. So next Monday is September, Labor Day, September 2nd. And so, when you get to September, training camp is right around the corner. So that's where we are right now. So we're getting close to the start of training camp, which is, of course, going to be soon the start of the season. So we're getting there. So we're just going through the roster. Last week we went through the starters. This week we're going to go through the bench. And we're starting with the big Ragu, Donte DiVencenzo. Donte DiVencenzo is a lot like the Villanova guys, which are DiVincenzo, Brunson, Mikal Bridges, of course, and Josh Hart. All of them are pretty much what you would call plug and play. And I mean pretty much. More DiVincenzo and Mikal Bridges and Hart than Brunson. Brunson is more of a guy that he needs certain things. He needs to have the ball in his hands to be the most effective. But the other guys are plug and play. And what do I mean? What does that mean when somebody says they're plug and play? Once Bruce Lee was being interviewed, the rest in peace to him, the Chinese martial artist from the 60s and 70s, and he said he described martial arts or in life like water. And he said water adapts to whatever container it's in. So it shapes whatever container is carrying the water. That's the shape the water takes. And he said, you should be like water, my friend. And what does it have to do with this? Well, a plug and play player adapts to whatever the lineup he's in. And he brings out his strengths based on what is needed in the lineup. That's a plug and play guy. Okay. They will fit in almost any lineup. DiVincenzo is very much like that. When you're looking at his stats in 2023-24 is a good season to look at him because in that scenario, you're looking at him playing a lot of minutes and you're getting a good feel for how he adapts to different situations. So he was put in the starting lineup instead of Quentin Grimes, and then they traded Grimes, right? And then there was a lot of injuries, so he was pressed into playing heavier minutes in different lineups. And so you got a good look of what you can expect from a Donte DiVencenzo, and especially now that he's in his prime. Donte DiVencenzo right now, he is, well, how old is this cat? I think he's 27. He's about 27 years old. And yes, he's 27. He'll be 28 in January. So he's 27. And you're getting him in his prime. And so pretty much what you're seeing is what you're going to get from Donte DiVencenzo, which is plenty good for the New York Knicks. So in 2023-24, the stats that he produced were stats you can expect on a regular basis in different scenarios. So, for example, the best five-man lineup with Donte in it was Deuce, Hart, Hartenstein, and Brunson. And that was plus 31. Over 172 minutes plus 31. That's that lineup. Now, it appeared to me as I looked at all of the lineups and all of the various combinations from 2 players or up to 5 players for DiVencenzo, he seemed to play well with everybody, except when he's dependent on Achua as the 5. His numbers were not as good. When he had Achua playing the 4 with Sims or Hartenstein, his numbers were very good. The outcomes were very good, which again reinforces what we talked about earlier this offseason about the combination of Sims and Achua being much better than we thought. Okay, so but generally with almost every lineup, DiVencenzo was good. Okay, so he will adapt. He will adapt if he needs to be an off-ball guy. He will adapt if he needs to be an on-ball guy, primary guy. He will adapt at the 2 guard. He will adapt at the 3. He will adapt to who he needs to guard, whether it's a 1, a 2, or a 3. Very, very plug and play, which is why the luxury of having him in your rotation off your bench with Mikal Bridges as your starter is huge. Not only that, the kid plays. I mean, last year, with all of the injuries, he played 81 games. Okay, he played 81 games last year, and so he's dependable. You can depend on him to be out there for the New York Knicks, consistently. We've seen him get all kind of beat up last year. Got lots of sprains, lots of bumps, lots of elbows. He was always playing. Okay, he was always there. So DiVencenzo is a guy that's going to be very valuable for the Knicks. And because of all the things I just named, being plug and play, being effective, being like water in that he can adapt to whatever situation you put him in, he's not a superstar. Okay, so he's not going to average 30. He had a 40-point game and a couple of 38-point games this past season. So we know that he's capable of going off. He's an NBA player. He's an NBA pro-level shooter. Okay, he is capable of going off at, like anybody else. I mean, he shot 44. He shot 40% from 3, 44% from the field, 75% from the line. Those are better than solid numbers. So basically, we could say he's a 44, 40, 75 guy coming off your bench. Okay, and he can play whatever minutes you need him. You need him to play 40, 48, he could do that. You need him to play 20, he could do that and be just as effective either way. Okay, so this is one of the reasons. You see, most people, unfortunately, when they look at a big 3, right? They're looking at LeBron, Bosh, and Wade in their primes in Miami. And you just get whatever around them and they win, right? This don't work like that no more. See, you always need a bench. You can't just win a championship with just your starters. You need to have a solid bench. You need those ancillary guys. Because look, when you get to the playoffs, when you get deep in the playoffs, everybody knows, for example, that Brunson's going to do what he does, right? You're not going to stop him from doing what he does. He's going to do what he does. You just want to make it more difficult for him. Everybody knows that a healthy Julius Randle is going to be a monster on the board. In the playoffs, he's going to do what he does. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that the starters are going to do what they do. It's more difficult to game plan for bench pieces, particularly when you have more than 1 or 2 that can be effective for you, that could actually win games for you. That becomes very difficult to game plan for. You can game plan for the 5 that's on the floor, and that's difficult. So a team that has the game plan for the Knicks, they gotta stop Jalen Brunson. If you are playing against the Knicks, you want to stop Jalen Brunson from getting in the paint. That is almost impossible, but you have to do that. Okay, you cannot give him open 3s because if he catches 2 or 3 in a row, you're in trouble. Okay, you have to guard OG Anunoby in the corners. Because if he's left open, he will hit at least 40% or 50% from deep from the 2 corners on the 3-point line. So you got to be prepared for that. You have to guard Mitchell Robinson or he's going to dunk on you because they're going to find him for a lob. You, of course, have to guard Julius Randle because he's too strong for most people on the block. And if he is hitting his three, it's a bad night for you. So you got to make sure he's not getting in rhythm. You want to get in his head and make sure he doesn't do that. And of course, Mikal Bridges, a 3-level scorer. So you have to game plan for all of this when you play the New York Knicks. But what is difficult to game plan for is a Donte DiVencenzo that you don't know what position he's coming at you at. You don't know where he's going to be. He can run off the ball. He can be on the ball. He can guard 2s, 3s, and 1s. You don't know what to do with that. Okay? Very difficult. And he's not alone, obviously, which we'll get to the rest of him. I mean, he's going to have Hart and Deuce with him, which are also, you got a game plan now. This is what it means when you have an effective player that can shoot, especially shoot 40% from the three-point line on consistent shooting. Give you good shooting from the line and really good defense. This is Donte DiVencenzo. He plays two sides of the basketball. I was like, there's 4 two-way players on the Knicks. I only see 2. You need a pair of these. Donte DiVencenzo is a two-way player. He plays defense and he plays offense at a high level. Okay? Donte DiVencenzo is a two-way player. You got Mikal Bridges, a two-way player. OG Anunoby, a two-way player. Julius Randle, a two-way player. Donte DiVencenzo, a two-way player. And let me not forget, we haven't gotten to Deuce McBride yet, but we're going to talk about that as well. For those of you not paying attention, let me give you some homework. Look how close Deuce comes to 40, 50, 90 when given minutes. And he's going to get his minutes. So that's another thing, though, for another video. But for today, the big Ragu's in the sauce. And let me tell you something. Because of that, let's say if they didn't have the bench they had and they just had Donte DiVencenzo, as Milwaukee did when they won the championship, it would still be dangerous and effective. See, you can game plan better when there's only one guy coming off the bench you got to worry about, okay? If there's one guy coming to the bench and you know this guy could score like a Jamal Crawford back in the day, you know he can come off the bench and score, you could kind of game plan for him with your second unit. Okay, you know what he's going to do, you know his tendencies. But when you got to deal with all 4 dudes or 3 coming off the bench that are all dangerous in their own ways, very, very difficult, which is what makes the Knicks championship contenders. It's not just the starting 5, which is awesome. It's this bench that they have developed, that Tibbs has developed. And so when you have that, it's going to be very difficult. But the big Ragu, he plays like water. Okay? His jumper's usually wet. And he adapts to whatever the lineup is. So look at this. So for his for the lineups for DiVencenzo, it's amazing. He is good in almost every lineup. So he played 172 minutes with McBride, Hartenstein. He played, by the way, him and Hartenstein connect like nobody business. So we miss Hartenstein in that regard, but they was plus 31. Then when it was Sims and Achua with DiVencenzo, Hart, and Brunson, the 3 Villanova boys, they played 63 minutes together, plus 21. Okay? When it was Hartenstein and DiVencenzo and Brunson, Hart, and Randle, they played together 71 minutes plus 20. Okay? When it was Randle, Hartenstein, DiVencenzo, Brunson, and Anunoby. By the way, DiVencenzo and Anunoby are dynamite together according to these stats. And of course, that presents a bit of a dilemma because you can't be playing Anunoby 40 minutes a game, right? So you gotta, this is gonna be interesting. Okay, it's going to be interesting. But Anunoby and DiVencenzo together are dynamite. So you had this lineup. Anunoby, Brunson, DiVencenzo, Hartenstein, Randle, 180 minutes plus 17. Okay, Anunoby, DiVencenzo, Brunson, Hartenstein, Hart. Okay, 131 minutes together plus 14. Achua, DiVencenzo, and Hartenstein. Okay, so when Achua's here at the 4, Hartenstein's at the 5, Hart, DiVencenzo, and Brunson, 188 minutes together, plus 8. Wow, it's just, he's rough, man. And then when you have a 4-man crew, of course, with Hartenstein, Anunoby, DiVencenzo, and Brunson, plus 19. Look, That means, somebody asked me, what is plus minus? That means when those four are on the floor together, the Knicks are 19, or were last year, 19 points better than their opponent. They outscored their opponent by 19 points when those four are on the floor together. You know what? I'm trying to tell y'all, man, we got something. And then in the three-man rotation with Anunoby, Brunson, and DiVincenzo, which you will see this season, okay? They play 468 minutes together, plus 16. So when them three are together on the floor, they're better than the opponent by 16 points. And they play on the floor a lot, 468 minutes. Look, man, DiVincenzo is going to be a key to MobbDeep. MobbDeep is back. MobbDeep is back. We were a little bit shaky last year because of injuries, and then a little bit shaky because not only just the injuries, but we lost Obi and we lost IQ. MobbDeep was hurt a little bit. Let me tell you something. MobbDeep is back, and DiVincenzo's a key piece of the MobbDeep. Okay, survival of the fittest. We getting ready to do this thing, yo. See, because they're gonna be shook out here. I'm telling you. So, DiVincenzo, step one of MobbDeep. Y'all enjoy your Monday. Shalom.